Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wind, Reel, and Print. My name's Ryan.
And my name is Kevin.
And today, we're going back in time. I've also used that intro before. That's not really anything new. We're going back in time.
Well, we're always going back in time,
I know.
right?
Yeah, I guess technically. We have yet to do an episode about the future.
Yeah. That would be interesting.
That'd be interesting. Wow.
The future of cinema.
Yeah. I mean, but how do we make it a series? You know?
Yeah.
It's almost like we have to review movies that have yet to come out, and not even like announced, but like movies that are coming out in 30 years.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
Oh man, we'd get it so wrong.
Yeah, probably.
We'd get it so wrong, but it'd be pretty cool. It'd be like Back to the Future Part 2 predicting flying cars level epic.
But I was going to say there's a level of, by even putting in the thought to predict it, you're already creating the narrative of the future, because a lot of our reality today is kind of mimicked in like old sci-fi movies from the 60s or the 20s and stuff.
Yeah.
Like when we looked at 2001 and Metropolis and saw a lot of the similar technology.
Mm-hmm. Style and tech and everything like that. I mean, it's an obvious thing to pull inspiration from as a movie.
Totally.
And people look at Jurassic Park and are like, I want to do that.
Right.
So you also can take like the worst lessons possible.
The repetitions and stuff. Yeah.
But that's not what this movie is about, or that's not what this movie is about. This movie podcast is about. Today we're going back in time to the golden age of cinema.
Yeah.
The great, big, beautiful golden age when
it was cinema.
Yeah. And when it was as big as it can get.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. And at least in terms of like cultural power. This is when it finally reached its peak at the point, and then we live in a different time now. Movies definitely hold a different place, but back then, no TV in the home.
Right.
This was where you went out. This was the event.
Yeah.
And so knowing that, we have studios, we have filmmakers making films in that environment, and naturally you're going to get some of the biggest and most I guess defining films to ever exist. And so maybe we can go over what those four are.
Sure.
You want to drop them?
Gone with the Wind by Victor Fleming, 1939. Wizard of Oz, also Victor Fleming, also 1939.
Yes.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Citizen Kane, Orson Welles, 1941. And a personal favorite, Casablanca, Michael Curtiz, 1942.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Quite the swath, but you understand. I mean, watching these, you understand.
It's big budget. Yeah. Hollywood type movies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like
epics.
Yeah. Like Citizen Kane. I mean, epics, I think is a really great way to put it.
Yeah.
'Cause and Casablanca being the smallest of them all,
right?
But still feel. I mean, it is like
it's so big still. All the characters and movements.
It's such a great thing they did. They had every culture, every kind of person in one location.
Yeah,
every historical moment in one location.
Right.
And I mean, just talk about they put the world in a bar.
Right.
And I think that's just
the coolest concept.
Oh, it's so great. I mean, Casablanca is just. Oh my God, it's unbelievable how good it is. Yeah, you just watch it and it's just like, I cried watching it.
Yeah.
Like it's just,
amazing.
It's so good. And I want to love Humphrey Bogart.
Yeah.
Humphrey Bogart can be hard to love though. You watch Maltese Falcon and you're like, this guy sucks. He sucks so hard.
Yeah.
But in this one, you feel it.
Yeah.
And obviously
he plays both sides really well in this one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And obviously Ingrid Bergman is
classic.
I mean, she's just the best. I think she's so awesome. So
top 10 talent all time.
Oh, all time.
Yeah.
All time. So I mean, that'll be the last one I think we'll talk about in all of this too. But it's happy to jump on that. We'll kind of go in the order of time just to kind of
get a story.
Yeah. But some pretty big big things going out. And I also wanted to mention some of the other big movies we didn't put on this list. And I actually, when I was over the holidays, I ended up going to my wife's like hometown, and we went to the movies. That's where I saw Nosferatu. And they had on the big, like a big mural of movies. Like they painted them, and it was a really cool thing. And it was all Golden Age movies.
Nice.
And so it had all the movies that we are talking about today, plus 2 others.
Okay.
Can you guess what the 2 others are? One, I kind of don't think it's Golden Age, but it was like so classic. Still during the time period or a little bit before. But then another one I think is clearly Golden Age that we didn't add to this list.
I have no idea.
Okay, King Kong.
Okay.
I think
I wasn't going to guess that.
Yeah, King Kong definitely feels like it because it also just like sets up. I mean, talk about like one of the biggest, craziest movies to be put on screen by that time. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And and that was up there. And then
like a monster movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like Modern Times was the other one, the Charlie Chaplin.
Okay.
Yeah. But you can imagine it's really the imagery of him on those gears and stuff. That's like a classic film image, and so is King Kong.
I see.
That's a classic image. But
that makes sense.
We're here with these movies. Always known as a classic, or all these are known as classics. And I think we were talking about this off mic, but I think it's important just to kind of bring up, like, thinking about like what we can even add to this.
Oh yeah.
To like the conversation about these movies that hasn't been said. Like it's just. So we might pull out of this episode fast. I mean, that's not really like us. We are very much we'll
stick around.
Yeah, we stick around. Maybe too long. That's up to the audience, but.
We stick around after rap.
Yeah. Sure. Sure. I can't riff off that.
All right.
And so we'll see, that's just an interesting thing to think about, is like what we'll add to it. But I think it'll be just the rap spin.
Yeah. We'll just add our own thing.
Yeah.
So I guess to kick us off.
Go for it.
Like, I guess we can't ignore this character, Victor Fleming, right?
Yeah.
Like, he kind of sets us up for what we're thinking about in terms of like what a golden age Hollywood film is, right?
Yeah.
Because what to you sets a golden age Hollywood film, aside from all the things that you just said? Like, what sets it apart? Maybe like formally and from a story standpoint, like how are these films different than the blockbuster films we see today, or even from the 90s or from like the 2000s, or you know what I mean? Yeah,
I know what you mean. That's a good question.
Oh, I feel fidgety. I'm gonna like fucking do stuff.
Okay, sounds good. Well, try. Yeah, all right. Well, you need a little fidget spinner or something.
Yeah,
there's got to be a little toy.
It's like all leg restlessness.
Oh, okay. I guess it's just, I mean, obviously it's the scope. We have giant movies in scope, but there's something like the cinematography is controlled.
Yeah.
Nowadays, especially when you got a big movie, the camera is flying every which way.
Right.
It's left to CGI to create things.
Right.
And CGI, I think, is really what sets these things apart.
For sure.
Like, these movies are real and they feel so tactile.
Right.
And even in a cheesy way. Like, you watch Wizard of Oz and it's very clear how fake some of these things are, but so much love and effort was put into them. That you appreciate it, obviously.
Right.
So I think there's that. I think the tactile blockbuster is an interesting thing. I think
tactile blockbuster.
Yeah. The characters, I guess you have, I mean, I was going to say a lot of characters. And I think so. I think there's a lot of different things moving on. I think Wizard of Oz obviously being the simplest of them all, but it feels grand in scope. It's willing to take on anything in any genre there is. I think all of them have their own horror elements, their own thrillers, their own all of these things, drama, romance. All can kind of they can pull all of these in and make it work. So it just feels like a movie's movie.
Right.
Like it's just, you talk about
Like a catch-all thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and maybe that's a cop out. But when I rewatched Wizard of Oz, I was like just remembering how much came from this.
Yeah.
And just like I hadn't seen it since I was a kid, and so it was just like mind blowing to me. And I even forgot like how long it took them even to get into Oz. I thought it happened really fast.
Right.
But she like met that character out in the like who ended up being the wizard, kind of out at his little wagon, and like I completely forgot about that. And then I also completely like once I watched them, like, oh yeah, when I did watch that as a kid, I didn't catch the subtext that he was faking it. That he was pretending to be a psychic. I thought he was actually telling the future when I was a kid during that scene. And kind of what I'm just saying with this, you don't remember the scene where she meets the wizard in the real world?
No.
No. Oh, okay. Well, she ends up running away, and before she runs back home, and the tornado comes.
I realized that was the wizard. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I just came at it with fresh eyes, and so it had been a very long time. But yeah, no. So I think that's kind of what kind of makes this kind of golden age. I think also in terms of like the Victor Fleming versions, and it should also be said, Victor Fleming came in during production on both of these movies. If I remember correctly, he was not involved in the pre-production of them. And so that's a interesting little wrinkle. But the color in those two movies was astounding. And I think about like The Red Shoes is another example of where you just see color on film just so vibrant and bright and beautiful that I almost categorize it in that same vein. But there was just something about the color that they just really, it's so highly saturated too.
Right.
And yeah, so
yeah,
that's kind of what about you? Anything you think defines that I didn't say golden age film?
I feel like set design, like taking advantage of set design, is like pretty prominent, especially considering how we don't have set design now. We just have like blue screen stuff. So I feel like that as a specific art form seems pretty big in this era. Just like everything, and I think plays into the color thing too. You know what I mean? Like, did you hear that?
I did.
Okay. Like, especially with the Wizard of Oz, but even in Gone with the Wind, like playing up color in certain sets to like make it pop, especially like the sunset stuff, right? I feel like they're playing up those colors a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it once again, another one of those things, wish I was there at the time, probably blew people's minds. I mean, definitely, I imagine the Wizard of Oz transition was crazy.
That's definitely...
Can you imagine
iconic.
That? That would have been... Oh my God. I was even like, kind of like jaw dropped at just like the way they were able to... I mean, that saturation was just so crazy compared to... Like, you just get so used to it. And because the sepia was so much longer than I remembered, I was just kind of like... Oh, it's gonna be like an old, but I think even the what's on Max where I watched it was also just like a 4K restoration. So it was just like
restoration.
I tell you, boy, I'm telling you, the 4K. Now we're watching 8K now, Grandpa. Yeah. 15K, 16K.
If you can't see the paw stretch.
Yeah. I can zoom in on any movie and look.
Just only watch movie in 9:16.
Don't give anyone any ideas. Yeah, so nice. Yeah, so color, interesting.
Or set design. Yeah. Because even in that's what I really like about Casablanca is like the whole thing is just built, Yeah. They have a few shots that are shot like on location or
Yeah.
whatever, but most of that is like all constructed, and that's like
The
super
bar is
cool
so
to think.
cool.
Yeah, it's just like, dang, that's really neat. Even as a filmmaking process, to just be in one spot the
Yeah.
whole time. Yeah, it's pretty great. And Citizen Kane too, you know, like using expressionism within its design, like set design and stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty evident there. Like all three are pretty different stylistically. Maybe Fleming's are pretty similar, but yeah, like using those elements within the story, you know,
Yeah.
in a heightened way.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Citizen Kane feels the most German expressionistic, I'd say. Definitely you get some really exaggerated sets, especially like the mansion and everything like that. You
Yeah.
get some really cool, interesting things going on there.
The use of shadows and stuff.
Yeah, and I'm even thinking when he's giving the speech with those giant posters behind
Yeah.
him. I mean, that just is like Metropolis through and through.
Sure, yeah, totally.
And so, yeah, I think Citizen Kane dips into that set design thing in a very expressionistic way.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, man, I would love to just go to that bar in Casablanca.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that just be so cool? Just
Seems
to,
like a good place to hang
oh,
out.
that just seems so cool. Like I just want to be there.
Listen to some jazz.
Yeah. What do you remember what it was called?
It's Rick's.
It's Rick's because that's his name.
Yeah. Rick's something.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. So cool.
Rick's Cafe or
Yeah, it was something French.
Rick's. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll dive a little bit into the
Rick's Cafe American.
American.
Yeah. Or whatever the French.
Yeah.
American.
Gone with the Wind.
Sure, yeah.
Let's start there. I feel like you have a lot to say about Gone with the Wind. Maybe you don't.
I mean, I don't know. I thought it was a pretty clunky movie. I thought there were really great moments visually, character-wise. I thought just for me, tonally, it was like all over the place.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is this? Like it's trying to be 10 different movies at once. And I thought it was really long for all those reasons as well. Yeah.
Totally.
But I had a good time.
Yeah.
I still was like, wow, this is really crazy.
Yeah.
I think this is my first time watching it too, so a lot of it's like first reaction.
Oh,
and
wow.
Basing it, because this is like big in film study stuff for us, like with the race representation and all that kind of stuff. So keeping that in mind, but also enjoying it as like a Hollywood picture and all these things. And
Yeah, it's good it didn't get as racist as Birth of a Nation.
Yeah,
obviously,
yeah.
but
It's
still
not,
is like
it's not overt.
It's a little more subtle, sometimes done for comedic purposes.
Right. They're playing with tropes that are
definitely
like
playing with tropes.
that are negative, but you know,
Yeah.
it's the it's interesting to think this comes like 25 years after Birth of a Nation.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah. Like. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's just something to point out. I guess.
I think it's an important thing just to not forget about movies during this time. Like, there's nothing wrong with pointing it out and talking about it.
Right.
Because it certainly is a thing that exists.
Yeah. And so it's funny, like on the Max, they have the TCM like intro, and they like kind of talk about it. It's just funny to me. How it's like they address it, but kind of don't address it. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on editing those things out of movies?
I mean, yeah, I don't think you edit it out. I think like these are documents, you know, we have to like preserve them as they are or were or whatever. Like, I don't think you should edit them.
Do you think though, like a disclaimer at the beginning is good?
I think, you know, and maybe I'm asking for too much, but I genuinely think should be part of our like education. You know what I mean? Is like being like knowing how to interact or engage with media and like understand these things. Like this should just be like common knowledge.
Okay, so you're saying
Like
people should just know it. We don't need a thing to say anything.
Yeah, like it would be cool, yeah, to have a disclaimer, but that almost feels like performative in terms of like how deep is that gonna get to a person? You know what I mean? Like really, it should be about, you know, for example, I don't know if this is valid or whatever,
Yeah.
but like watching this with your kids and then saying, wow, what does this make you feel? Or what do you think about what's happening on screen or whatever? And just kind of having an engaging conversation about like what these images mean and what the message of the story is and like who these characters are and stuff.
Yeah.
And like just being able to apply that to everything, right? Because, you know, a lot of these things can be problematic if you like spin it in the right way, you know what I mean? But I think it's just important to like being able to have that conversation to begin with, you know, because I think a lot of times people don't want to talk about it in a non-confrontational way, you know?
Totally. Yeah.
Just like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and I think generally we have no media literacy anymore, or very little, and so
As a society,
yeah, and certainly those things before the movies, that's not going to solve anything,
Right.
No,
That's
of course
not going to fix anything. Yeah.
No, absolutely not. My thought is like it's the least they could do.
I mean,
that sort of thing. Like I
be
think
cool.
context is good.
Yeah.
But like if that's what people think is like
Gonna
gonna fix it,
yeah.
no, of course not. No, it just makes it so you can't ignore it,
Sure,
which I think
that's
feels
a good,
important.
Yeah.
Is
To
at least-
forefront it, yeah.
Yeah, like that to me feels like you should, when you go into this movie, know,
Yeah.
like, and not come out of Birth of a Nation and think, oh man, really?
Yeah.
Huh? You know,
Like, I
sort of
feel
thing.
bad for those guys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There should be like, you should have to face that.
Right.
That
Like head
hurdle.
on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
And
that's
Birth of a
that's my
Nation
thought.
does it interestingly too, the way they.
Well, you're talking about the one from the time period, right?
yeah.
Exactly. That one's
With like the
really bad.
the interview
Yeah.
with D.W. Griffith
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah.
That one's very obviously just PR
Right.
on his end, because he
Right.
was just like, of course he doesn't fucking care. But that's so funny.
The lighting on you right now is really
Is it beautiful?
good. Yeah.
I got some backlight,
It's just
some
that-
little side
yeah,
light.
it's like perfect angle.
Well, thank you.
Like, yeah.
We'll see how long it stays. Stay there, son. Stay there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that just an interesting thing about Gone with the Wind, because I think it is an important thing to talk about. I think for me to go
Into everything of it. Yeah.
yeah into the everything of it. It definitely, I didn't think I was going to watch it all in one sitting because it was so long.
It's so long.
And I think I mentioned to you, I also watched Wizard of Oz the same day.
You're crazy.
Which is crazy. I mean,
Marathon
I'm not
man.
as crazy as you.
Yeah. What do you mean?
Well, I'm thinking triple nos for Ratu.
Oh, yeah.
I guess nos for Ra 3. I thought you'd appreciate that one.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy you're happy.
Oh, God.
Oh, did you spill?
No. Okay. I mean, I did, but not on the rug.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, Gone with the Wind. I was pleasantly surprised how much I enjoyed it and how like it's
fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
And it's got a lot going for it. It definitely like wants to be all
thing.
the movies. It wants to be the biggest movie ever made.
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
you can feel that. And I think Birth of a Nation does always kind of feel like an easy
Comparison, yeah.
comparison. And
For obvious reasons.
yeah, and Birth of a Nation definitely feels like it wants to be the best thing
Right.
ever made.
Like the biggest.
Yeah.
Yeah. For
yeah.
sure.
And this one is a much better version of that, obviously. Yeah, no, I thought its use of color was really amazing, and some really cool special effects and set. Like the burning of Atlanta was a very interesting thing, like design, style, all of the above. Because I know
True.
they actually did light some serious fires.
Nice.
For that. So it's good to get into it. I mean, also a movie with so many locations, and I guess that's also kind of part of it. But man, just like
Yeah.
she goes all over the place.
The world is really big.
Yeah, the world is really big in this.
The South.
I'm happy that it didn't go in the direction of like, because obviously Birth of a Nation also focuses on the South,
Yeah.
and during the Civil War and all of these things, but I didn't feel like this movie gave like a, oh my God, the Union is so evil, like they're you know, like I didn't. It didn't feel as overt. Like obviously you can look at it and be like, okay, like they're certainly mad at Sherman for coming in and destroying everything. And honestly, I think Sherman, that was very evil thing to do. The Sherman's march through there to destroy civilian things.
Sure.
So I definitely get that. And I'm definitely not trying to be a South apologist on the pod, on record. But yeah,
I feel like they were still kind of anti-Yankee vibes throughout the movie. Like I definitely got that message pretty strongly from them. Just the way they were speaking about the whole war stuff.
Yeah.
And how they're kind of they were whatever, wronged or
Totally.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly, but
no, it's all good. Yeah, I don't remember it being as strong for me, but it makes sense that they would have like an animosity towards them.
Yeah. I totally get it. I mean, it wasn't like an alarming thing to me. It was definitely, it was just like, oh, that feels like part of what they were thinking during that time period. Yeah.
And it certainly wasn't like, it wasn't going to paint like the South as evil either. Like it was a movie about
wasn't
the
that
South.
movie. Yeah.
And Gone with the Wind had been a book that had come out not too long before.
Right.
And so they were definitely trying to capitalize
on the popularity
of that.
Yeah.
Which is also just kind of an interesting thing. And so
Yeah.
they knew what they had. Like they came into this and they did the full force.
100%.
And I think there's just some amazing moments and shots that can only be attained, I think, when you shoot your shot, and they shot the shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of them.
All of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just feel like the story is a ripoff of Little Women.
I've never seen Little Women, so I don't know.
Oh, yeah. It just felt like a lot of the same stuff, like falling for her sister's boyfriend and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just like the exact same story and same time period. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
But from the South side.
Yeah. What was Little Women from the North?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
They're fighting for the Union.
Yeah. They wanted their own version.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it feels like because it comes out a lot later than Little Women.
I mean, maybe
Yeah.
that's the way it was. Yeah, I have no idea. I got to watch Little Women. I got to watch all 3.
4.
4?
Yeah.
I guess there's probably so many of them.
There's like a George Cukor version.
There's the Winona Ryder version. There's the Greta Gerwig version. And then there's another one.
Katharine Hepburn version.
Oh, Katharine Hepburn.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Gone with the Wind.
Gone with the Wind. It was fun. It was great.
Yeah. It's a classic movie. It's got all the classic stuff. You
gotta watch it.
You see it.
And frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
So coming out that same year, and actually before,
Right.
if I remember correctly, before Gone with the Wind,
That makes sense.
just a little bit before, was The Wizard of Oz. Also, Victor Fleming finished film.
The sequel to Wicked.
Okay, I think Kevin, you're confused. I think you've lost the plot here.
No, that's what it says right here.
Oh, got it. It says it on the internet?
Yeah, right here.
Oh, well, there you go. My apologies, folks. So the
It has to be true.
Yes. Yes. So Wizard of Oz, the sequel in the Wicked double feature?
trilogy.
Trilogy, okay. So the second one in the trilogy.
Yeah.
Got it.
Or I don't know.
Yeah, now, I can tell you really, you jumped in the deep end, Kevin, and you have no idea where it's dark out. The pool is black, and you went all the way.
The Jabberwocky's here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, was it? Fuck.
You guys, I'm so sorry. I don't really know. I'm nervous. I'm scared.
Yeah. Okay. What am I thinking of? Munchkins? They're in this, right?
They are.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who are the monkey guys?
They're in that too. I don't know what they're called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flying monkey.
Just flying monkey. Cuties.
Yeah.
Funnies. Friends.
Pals.
Good buds.
Amigos.
Hombres.
Yeah.
No. But Wizard of Oz. To me, it felt like a heart movie for me. I definitely watched it, and
movie.
I definitely watched it. I'm like, this. I see how everything I've ever loved can be attributed to this movie.
Like your mother.
Well, I guess.
I don't know. Sorry.
No, I don't know. I don't know.
We don't have to.
We don't have to go there. My mother was Judy Garland. Is what Kevin's trying to say.
Yeah.
But it has just so many of these, and maybe it was like watching it so much growing up that I
attached to it.
It's just in my DNA. But the colorful characters, the dream, like the fantastical world, the sets and and I guess just the epic story nature of it and the adventure of it just was very appealing to me. And then I just kind of felt it as I got back. I'm like, damn, I like being here. I like being in this. I like seeing all this. I felt like every time we went into a new location, they just knocked the set out of the park.
Yeah.
And just went all in. And I think, and not even enough time was spent in so many of these that it feels like a bummer that eventually, like they probably destroyed it the next day, you know?
Right.
Like that beautiful, like with all the flowers, like just that is an amazing set that probably took so long to do that. It hurts that there was just so much in that where it's just like, I wish I could be there. I wish I could have seen it. I wish I could have felt it.
Right.
It was so tactile and real. And just a really creative use of the imagination and I guess, and even what I mean by that is because they do show, they're not just telling and having you imagine, but it's from the filmmaker's perspective of just like, let's also like metropolis it up. Like let's take it all the way and let's create this world top to bottom in the most fantastical way you can think.
Right.
For the time at least. And it's also cool that it's just like, I like a fantasy movie, especially that's like the camera is grounded too. Right. And it's just the nature of these things. Like it's shot fairly simply in terms of camera work. Like they're not getting too crazy with it, but I love that. I love that it's just keeping it. I don't need all that action there. It gave me time to appreciate and see from corner to corner of this entire screen every little inch that was intentionally placed. And so, I mean, I'm giving it its flowers, like it needs it.
I think everyone likes this movie.
Yeah. But
David Lynch is one of David Lynch's favorite movies.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, as a Lynch head, Lynchpin,
fantasy and dreams and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, that's very Lynchian.
Yeah,
very me.
There's a documentary about it.
Yeah, Lynch Oz. Yeah. Is that what it's about?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I didn't him liking Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. Cool.
Which, if you can get much out of that,
I mean, I think there's a lot to get out of that, Kevin.
Oh,
I don't know if you were saying that as a.
I was just reading this review about it, and it was like, there's not much else out. There's like not much you can extract out of this documentary. Like they don't really add anything on top of the fact that David Lynch likes Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see what they're saying, I guess.
Yeah. But yeah, it's cool.
What did you think of Wizard of Oz?
Don't ask me that, right? I didn't really care for it, honestly.
Yeah.
When I was watching it, was like, oh yeah, this is like influencing everything. Like this is our entire culture, basically, right? Like
yes,
the quotes, the songs, the costumes, these characters. It is very much like a fairy tale realized in a lot of ways. Like in terms of story, it's super simple. Like we're point A, point B.
Yeah. Like
goal. We need a goal. Characters are very like metaphorical for certain people or whatever. So it's doing a lot of those classically great kind of things. And of course it is just like the Wizard of Oz. Like can't get around how fucking like just popular and like culturally important this thing is.
Yeah.
So like, not to negate any of that, but I don't know. I think objectively, like, the production designs are great. The set, like, I forget which shot, but they like jib up and they show like what you're kind of talking about. I'm guessing like whatever they had built and they're walking up the path.
Yeah.
It's like they had some great like set builds for a lot of the worlds, and you kind of do wish they like spent more time or just took more advantage of like these sorts of areas and stuff. And I guess for me, like, yeah, like when I look at Casablanca or Citizen Kane and the way they're taking advantage of the camera with the production design and stuff, like I just wish Wizard of Oz was more like thoughtful, I guess, in terms of creating composition and stuff like that. Like, because you're controlling every element, like it just felt like they built the set and then like camera got placed wherever.
Yeah.
And was like a kind of an afterthought.
Yeah.
And I just wish it wasn't more or less. And then like the music was like, as a musical, like not good.
Yeah, and you didn't like it.
It was just like the songs were bad. Aside from like the popular stuff that like obviously it gets remembered. It's like overall the songs were pretty bad. The story was like not moving very clearly or smoothly to me. And yeah, I just felt like like the quality of it from top to bottom felt very kind of cheap to me, I guess. And I was like, oh, this doesn't like blow me away.
Yeah.
In the way I like it's kind of spoken about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the way like Citizen Kane is a movie that I'm like eye roll, like everyone talks about this being the best movie ever. In the same way that Wizard of Oz gets talked about, you know what I mean? But then when you watch it, you're like, okay, yeah, this deserves a lot of that speech, because you can see it in the way it's shot, in the way it's kind of put together and stuff.
Yeah.
And I just feel like there's a small edge taken off of Wizard of Oz because of a lot of those little things that like you see in the camera and the music and stuff like that. And then also this movie, like the backstory on this movie is a horror film on its own.
Yeah.
You know, like the makeup on the Tin Man, the fucking guy who killed himself, like all these things. It's just like horrific, like showing the horrors of Hollywood at that time, you know? And that kind of like adds something to it, just being so happy and, you know, bright.
Yeah, it's kind of perfect for Hollywood in a way.
Yeah. Like hiding all of that at the same time.
Yeah.
Just like adds a really weird combination of flavors in my mouth.
Yeah, definitely to make a golden age era film, you didn't need to do it well. Yeah, you didn't need to do it like morally, ethically correct.
Yeah, you just had to get it done and get it on film. You know,
yeah.
So that's kind of just my experience with it.
Yeah,
I just like, I guess maybe the expectation of it being this great film, and then I was like, oh,
it fell flat for you.
Yeah, it just didn't hold up to that pedestal.
Yeah.
Like I get where culturally it's like hitting things, but as a piece of art, I'm like, I don't know if it's
Not
like
so much.
Citizen Kane level or Casablanca level, you know? Even like Gone with the Wind to me feels more like beautiful, like compositions and like the way they're complementing set with the camera. It just feels more, and maybe part of it is him coming in late or whatever, right? Not having control and just like having to improvise on the day. Maybe that has something to do with it. But yeah, I just like, that was kind of my feeling after watching it.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's maybe something to add to the Wizard of Oz conversation.
And the very best we can do in this is we just add our opinion, and then then move on. Then exactly, that's it. Well, let's jump over to our third.
Cool.
Which I think is Citizen Kane, right? Yeah. Citizen Kane.
Shout out.
Did it really? Does Citizen Kane need a shout out? You know, let's pull one out for Citizen Kane.
Yeah, well,
Mr. Kane.
I feel like, at least for, like maybe you too, right? Because okay, what's your relationship with Citizen Kane?
Obviously in film school.
Yeah.
And generally it's like, it's always on the list of like, is the top movie ever made.
Yeah.
Like the greatest film ever made.
It's like widely considered to
widely
be that.
considered that. And then obviously I know kind of the story, Orson Welles is starring and directing in it, would kind of like have he'll never reach Citizen Kane levels ever again. Like this is like, and Orson Welles was so young as well.
Yeah.
I think that was another
like
thing.
20 years old.
Yeah, it was crazy how young he was. And it also just made me, I remember like when knowing that, like gave me a lot of stress. Yeah. I was like,
you'll never live up to those.
I need to do what? I'm going the Ang Lee route.
Yeah,
I'm
50.
making movies when I'm 50.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eventually, you're either an Orson Welles or an Ang Lee.
Yeah.
And I'm drifting toward Ang Lee.
One had a more stable lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously. Orson is, but Orson Welles is
but he's that character.
Yeah, he is a character, like, and he is a person to be remembered.
Yeah.
And is
totally
forever interesting.
Right.
And we did F for Fake on this podcast, and that was Third Man. I mean, this guy, he's got the sauce. You know, he is so good.
If anyone's to represent like American cinema, he's pretty. I think he's like top 5. Yeah,
definitely. What is your relationship with Citizen Kane?
Yeah, a lot of the same.
Yeah.
Like film school. And so I always jokingly say I've seen this movie involuntarily 4 times because they show this.
You're talking about like Clockwork Orange style, like with the eyes.
Exactly. Because they just indoctrinate you with this movie. It's
Absolutely.
like, you have to watch this, you have to watch this. So I think there is a level of, most film students probably can speak on this too, of like disregard or like resentment with this movie of like, I don't need to watch this movie, or like, I don't give a fuck about this movie.
Yeah, it's kind of a very like teenage angst kind of way to look at it.
Like the rebellion.
The rebellion of just like, I'm not going to like what you tell me to like.
Right. Like, fuck that.
Yeah, exactly.
This is stupid.
Yeah, watch this TikTok.
Yeah, exactly. So for a while, I just had that kind of notion hanging over this film, and then over time, especially post graduation and everything, like keep thinking about this movie on accident, you know, like because it does do a lot of the stuff that you kind of end up wanting to do with film, you know, like discusses memory, does like, I really like the interview stuff that it does, like combining different cinematic elements, you know what I mean? Like narrative with sort of quasi documentary-ish things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a very cool storytelling device that they're using, that it's an interview, that's I guess a newspaper columnist who's kind of going around, going into these, like that epic library or whatever that place was, and going like reading through all of this stuff, and Rosebud being like this kind of thing that's kind of like always like, it's just, you're wondering what it is, and then you finally get it. But no, I really liked that storytelling device.
Yeah, it just felt like obviously a lot of modern films riff off of that today, but yeah, it just feels great to like watch that back and stuff. I don't know, I just like a lot of the stuff that this movie is doing now, having some time away from film school and stuff, like being able to appreciate that a lot more, because this is, I think, my first time watching it since film school. So it was great. Shout out. I mean, the sets in this also amazing. Yeah. Very expressionistic. A lot of the like matte painting stuff. Yes. And like the visual effects of the time, you know. And I guess a good thing about both Casablanca, I would say a good thing about all of the movies that we're seeing is whether it be color or black and white, they are taking full advantage of that medium. Yeah. Like like Gone with the Wind and Wizard of Oz are so colorful. Yeah. And they do that really well. And then these ones are stark, contrasty. Right. The light is very tough, and it's perfect for them. It's obviously very film noir quality. Yeah. So that's another thing I think that with this golden age is they just are like, they have now defined what a movie is. And I guess maybe these were just really clear things to be like, all right,
This is how you make the best movie.
Right.
And to think that all of these came out in a few years
Within
is
each
wild.
other, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane.
Just putting out bangers.
Yeah.
And kind of showing you the influence of the film movements before on these films. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Because there really isn't that much film movement
Going on, yeah.
before this.
I know, and that's kind of why they like Citizen Kane, right? Because it's like inventing a lot of the stuff that we do today, basically. It's creating this standard.
Yeah, it's so smooth and the story is so tight and well done.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels fantastic. It's just perfect.
You know, The Brutalist is pretty similar, I would say, to this. Yeah.
Yeah, and you could just see how the Brutalist stumbles in all of those. It's
trying to be
it's form over function, I guess might be the way to put it.
Sure.
Where this story-wise, it's great.
Right.
Like it knows exactly what it's doing. It and kind of like with what you've been saying about what makes a good movie is kind of having the form match the function.
Yeah.
And that you have shots that match the mood, match the style that you're going for.
Right.
And the acting and tells the story and everything is working as it should.
Yeah. It's all pointing north, you know.
Exactly. There's never a point, from what I remember, there's never a point in the movie where it feels like any part of it pulls away.
Right.
It knows exactly what it is and it keeps going.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I freaking love this.
Yeah, it's good. And I love an epic movie too. And I especially loved epic movies growing up for whatever reason. It was just like something about making a movie set over a large period of time. It was just like, that's pretty great.
Biopic.
Yeah, exactly. It's like how, and it was kind of a biopic, obviously, of Hearst, was who it was kind of made modeled to be modeled after. Yeah. Totally. So you did have some interesting things, but then what is kind of cool about like taking someone's real life and then turning it like fantastical, like it can is, and obviously not fantastical in the Wizard of Oz way, but yeah, no, you have more free. Like there is something cool about kind of taking that, and then I'm thinking of like Secret Honor with Richard Nixon,
right? You can just amp up some things.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's, and that's. I now am realizing I say this all the time, but that's a movie I wish I was there to watch because I want to know what people were really thinking, because we have like a Richard Nixon view now,
right?
But what was in the zeitgeist,
right?
Oh, it must have been so
like the conversations at the restaurant and the coffee shop.
Oh, it must have been so good to watch that movie. Like, it just must have been steeped in context.
Yeah, that must have been fun.
Yeah, no, I and just to kind of like point on this is that these movies are coming out during World War II.
Yeah. Yeah,
or at least like as all of these things are moving, kind of just wild as well.
Well, I think that's where you get an interesting maybe point is that you get an example of what these films were during this time period. Like you get a lot of either escapist films or films that are like directly addressing like the world issues at hand. Yeah. And I feel like
Casablanca being that is kind of
super direct, totally. But even like Citizen Kane addressing like monopolies and like corporate power and stuff, like that was pretty big at that time period. That's a good point. Especially with the war and everything. Yeah. So, it's just like same with Screwball and like how the kind of social political environment is influencing what gets made and what people are interested in and stuff like that. Yeah. It's pretty good point. World War II.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All these movies were made for the time. And maybe all movies are like that, but these do feel very much of the time. You hear the echoes
of it, yeah. Yes. Especially in the next one.
In the next one. And we may as well, let's just jump over. Yeah, exactly. Like
we keep talking about it.
Yeah, exactly. We both really like this movie.
Yeah.
Casablanca.
Best movie. One of the best movies of all time.
It's also it's also considered one of the greatest films ever made. I've sometimes seen it be at the top.
Yeah.
It's kind of it's always like, vying for that spot with Citizen Kane and some of these lists, at least from the early 2000s or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just perfect.
It's great.
It's great.
Like how you were talking about Citizen Kane, like everything pointing in the same direction. That's how I feel about this movie. It's like, this is like a Hollywood movie, you know, the set builds, the costumes are so freaking cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but it's just they're great.
Yeah, they just
everyone
look
dresses
awesome.
damn good.
The dialogue, it's snappy, it's smart, to me this is like the meta modern movie too, like balancing irony and sentimentality together, and expressing like attitudes towards modernity and stuff like that, and then a revolution movie. I think that's great.
It's interesting.
That stuff.
The movie almost like has this like fleeting quality to it.
Yeah.
Like it's like sand flowing through your fingers, and you're doing everything you can to not lose it.
Right.
And that's like Humphrey Bogart's character is like, he knows what he has, but he knows there's a timer, and it's like it's literally pouring through like the hourglass and Wizard of Oz.
Dang.
And there's just like something about like, and he can't, and it's why I love movies with romance. Like I think that's just. It's my favorite.
Such an easy thing to go on. Yeah,
it is, and it can be done so bad.
Yeah.
like so bad
because it's so like,
because it is easy.
Yeah,
and it's something we all know. But I just love movies where it is especially when it's the old love,
right?
And there is like
the one that got away
that comes back in, and you can't say how you're really feeling. They can't say, but it's so thick,
right? And you see it in the
you
room.
Can't deny it. Yeah, and they're both acting irrationally because they're acting like children because they can't do this, and it's so great.
Throwing
I love it.
Fits, and getting angry.
But then it gets to a point where at one point they prove how much they do love each other,
right?
And there's no denying that either.
Right.
And they both know this is only going to happen, or maybe even Humphrey Bogart knew more because he kind of sets her up to get
leave,
out.
Yeah.
But this feeling of like, this is the last time.
Yeah.
It's never going to happen again.
Right.
And there's something always so beautiful about that.
Yeah.
It brings me to like what I loved about Past Lives. And I don't think we got to talk about Past Lives on this podcast at all.
I don't think we have, yeah.
Yeah. But I loved that movie because it has that quality of like what it is to leave this thing. It's so like it's so hard to really give it up like that.
Right.
And
like it's not as easy as like a breakup or like
what do these like legacy relationships mean to you when it's the kind of like you are presently who you are because of that person, right? And for Humphrey Bogart's character, he is who he is because of Ingrid Bergman broke his heart and left him, and he's now like everything about him, and she confronts that by just existing in that space. Yeah, like he can't avoid it. Yeah, you can't avoid it. Yeah. It's so good. It's so good. It's just, it's great. And it just has the best elements of film noir too. Yeah. Like it just feels so good. And it's a thriller. It's got action. It's got,
This to me is like noir screwball.
Yes.
Combined.
It's exactly. Yeah.
Just, with combining all these elements. But like you're saying, it's like trying to be 10 different movies, but does it really well.
Yes, it does it so good. And maybe I said this, I don't know if I said this on the mic, but it is the location. They have the world in the location.
Yeah. You were saying that.
It's such a perfect spot. Yeah. Because you can have everything that's happening in the world there. Right. Keep it small.
All the world politics.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all in one spot, and it's so good. Also, you get
because it's basically showing the world politics through these people.
Yeah,
yeah,
all the way to America, to France, to Germany, to all and
then the countries that are affected and everything.
Yeah, because everyone's running from all over, as well.
Yeah, that's a great point. Oh, it's so good.
It is. It's really, really good.
Fantastic.
Yeah, fantastic. And I mean, obviously, if you're listening to this and you haven't seen Casablanca,
you gotta watch
Casablanca. Yeah. You gotta watch it.
I'll hold this one up for forever. Yeah.
And if you've seen it before, you gotta watch it again.
Yeah. It's worth 10 watches.
It is. Yeah. It's so good, and it just feels good, and
everything.
Yeah. It's funny how so many cast members from Maltese Falcon
are in this. Yeah, the main trio.
Yeah, exactly, the main trio. It's very funny.
They're just good in those roles.
They're
and
great.
I think they're in a bunch of movies together.
I would not be surprised. Yeah. I love seeing Peter Lorre. I like him as an actor.
He's so great.
Yeah.
Especially in this one.
Yeah.
Even though it's
short and
only
sweet.
for a
Short and
little
sweet.
bit.
Yeah.
But it's still good.
Yeah, it feels good. I always appreciate when he shows up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like we've seen. I think Peter Lorre is going to be kind of a thread through some of this. We've seen a lot of him,
Like 3 or 4 by
yeah,
now.
yeah. 3, I think for sure, and one of them being M, which just feels like the one that really like threw
Nails it
him,
in,
threw him out there. And now we're seeing kind of what the classic Peter Lorre is,
Right. The Hollywood Peter Lorre.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, maybe even classic is more of a horror Peter Lorre in a way, because that's kind of what ends up being the stereotype that we kind of know him as.
Sure, yeah. The wild card character.
Exactly, like the evil foreigner. Like that's what he ends up playing in a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was lucky to be introduced to this film through my global cinemas class in community college.
Global cinemas?
Yeah, because because of the world aspect.
Oh, interesting.
Because she was trying to critically create a conversation where what does global cinema mean, or what does world cinema mean? Technically nowadays everything is international cinema because everyone's like working together.
Yeah.
Like you can have
there's funding from all over the place.
Yeah, exactly. Because our first 2 films was Life of Pi and then Casablanca, and showing how like you can have an American production, but it's still like, an Asian director with a French producer with or a English DP. You have all these people from all over the place like happening, and then so this film is pretty emblematic of how like the world can come together to like build a world and stuff like that.
Yeah, how the globe can fit inside a movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then also pointing out how this is like reflecting the time period of the time. I think I had told. I was talking to you this, like, we don't make movies about today anymore.
Yeah.
Like, this is a movie directly talking about things that are happening in the world at that time.
Yeah.
And that was part of the novelty of the film, is like, it's addressing our reality, which I think is fucking dope,
Yeah, exactly. It felt like they, especially with Nazis, it felt like a really easy, everyone was on the same page.
Right.
We're going to punch these guys. We're always going to punch at the Nazis.
Right.
And they make a great villain and all of these things. So I think having there was just a unified cultural front as well. Like about like these kind of like stereotypical
good versus evil
sort of things, with the Hays Code really turning that up, obviously.
It fit into what the industry was doing really, really well. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah,
Yep.
you're right.
Well, right on. I mean,
shout out Professor Wing Brooks.
Wayne Brooks?
Wing Brooks.
Ooh, Wing?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Dang, I've never heard a name like that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Dang. Well, thanks, Professor. Prof doesn't really sound... Prof? It just doesn't...
Profit?
Yeah. Profit?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, folks, the golden age of cinema, there's a lot to say.
Yeah.
But it's been said.
Right.
over many decades. So if there's anything you thought you missed, I bet
you can go look somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly. Get out of here. Go listen to something else.
That's not this podcast.
Yeah, exactly. We said what we wanted to say.
Yeah.
But I'm happy I watched it. It's always good to, as we're especially watching all of these other movies, to remember the foundation.
Yeah.
It's always good to get your fundamentals.
Yes.
Be it in sports, in music, or whatever. Get your fundamentals right.
Yeah, learn your grammar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was that against me?
No.
Okay, I thought I said something wrong. I was like, that is the meanest thing Kevin's ever said. I know I'm not the best.
Yeah, I was just saying.
I'm not the goodest, okay?
Yeah. The bestest.
Yeah, the bestest. Well, thanks, folks.
Sayonara.
Sayonara. That's a wrap. Bye-bye.
Wind Reel in Print is a podcast by Salad Brain Productions. You can find us on Instagram at Wind Reel and Print Pod. You can also find us wherever you get your podcasts. And please, if you like the show, leave a rating and review. We'll see you next time.